Don't leave your 401k on autopilot. What's up, family? It is Kaden with Urban Finance. If you have a 401k, you need to watch this video because not every 401k custodian is doing what's in your best interest. A lot of them actually do what's in their best interest. And no, I'm not talking about the company you actually work for, but the company that manages your company's 401k. If you're new to this channel, I talk about everything related to financial literacy, investing, and building generational wealth. So if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button for me, subscribe to the page, and hit the bell to be notified of when I post something new. And if you want to get 2 free stocks, feel free to sign up with Webull using the link in the description. All right, let's jump in. So we're going to be talking about 3 aspects of investing with your 401k that can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over a 10, 20, 30 year period. The first one is auto enrollment. So many companies, when you start working with them after 3 months, or some companies at the beginning, they auto enroll you into their 401k program. And while that may be a good thing sometimes, one of the bad things about auto enrollment is that usually they pick the fund that you go in. And if that is the case, then they may put you in a fund that does not meet your investment needs or strategies. Some of these funds significantly underperforms the S&P 500 index. Sometimes they also have these programs that pick funds for you based on criteria that you enter that also significantly underperforms the S&P 500 index. And a lot of these times, these funds are not funds that are for your best interest. A lot of times these companies benefit from you investing in these funds that you are automatically enrolled into. And we'll talk about how they benefit and how much money they benefit with. So there's little to no reason to be invested in a fund in your 401k that has underperformed the S&P 500 in the last 3, 5, 10 years, because the S&P 500 is one of the best long-term investments. And so if you do have your money in one of those type of funds, it's so important to move your money from those funds. I am a relatively safe investor, and this is not financial advice, but if it was me, this is how I would go about it. If I had $100,000, I will move that $100,000 over the course of 4 months, moving $25,000 at a time. This would allow us to compensate for market fluctuations. Right now, the S&P 500 index is at all-time high. But next month, it may not be the case. It may be significantly lower. And then, so if you move another $2,500,000 while it is lower, you're catching the market at a lower price. And if it continues to go up, you'll catch it at that price as well. But this allows you to compensate for fluctuations within the market and keep your money invested relatively safely. Point 2, not only that these funds sometimes underperforms low-cost index like the S&P 500 index, but sometimes, and a lot of times to be quite honest, they have higher expense ratios than index funds, pretty much all of the times. And so when you are paying a significantly higher expense ratio for a fund that is underperforming the S&P 500 index, you are really getting abused by a 401k manager. Let's take this example from Tony Robinson's book, Money Master the Game. I want you to imagine that someone comes to you with the following investment opportunity. He wants you to put 100% of the capital and you take 100% of the risk. And if it makes money, he wants 60% or more of the upside to come to him in fees. Oh, and by the way, if it loses money, you lose and he still gets paid. Are you in? Your gut response will be absolutely not. That sounds absurd. The only problem is, if you're like 90% of American investors, you're invested in a typical mutual fund, and believe it or not, these are the terms of these mutual funds. Most people don't do the math, and the fees are hidden. If you made a one-time investment of $10,000 at age 20 and assuming 7% annual growth over time, you would have $574,464 by the time you're nearly 80. But if you pay 2.5% in total management fees and other expenses, your ending balance would only be $140,274 over the same period. So using this example from Tony Robinson's book, you can see that there's almost a $400,000 difference in what you will be able to accumulate by paying a significantly higher expense ratio within these accounts. Now, I typically see fees between 1 and 2% combined management fees inside 401ks, because in addition to the expense ratio that you pay on the fund that you're invested in, sometimes there are additional fees that you may not even know about within 401ks. And this is absolutely not to say don't invest in your 401ks. Here are 3 criteria that I usually use for if it makes sense for you as an individual to invest in a 401k or not. So if your company matches your investment, then it usually makes sense to invest in a 401k. If you are a high income earner and probably can contribute more than $10,000 a year, then it probably makes sense to invest in a 401k. But if you're invested under $6,500 and your company don't even match you, then it usually does not make sense to invest in a 401k, because the fees in a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA with Vanguard, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab will be significantly lower 99% of the times than the fees that you will be paying with whatever vendor your company is using for your 401k. Because a lot of times when you have these vendors, you have to pay them and you have to pay the company that owns that particular mutual fund or index fund. And so you're dinged twice when you're investing within the 401k in this situation. Now, I think the 401k is probably one of the best investments, so don't hear me wrong, but there are ways to maximize the investments if you're someone that is diligent. If you're someone that cannot take the time or would not take the time to really learn how to invest in an IRA or Roth IRA, then it probably makes sense for you to just put your money in the 401k, because that is still a really good investment. And the last thing you must know when deciding to invest in a 401k or not to invest in a 401k is that the investment options outside of your 401k is usually a lot better than the investment options within your 401k. Now, if your 401k has the S&P 500 index, that's always a solid place to go, I say. But sometimes your 401k may not even have the S&P 500 index. They may not have the total stock market index. They may not have even an equivalent to QQQ. And usually it's a company that picks the type of investments that are within the 401k. And so if your 401k don't even have some of these standard types investments options, then if you're not being offered a match on top of that, then going outside of your 401k into a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, is usually the best place to start. And then after maxing out there, then up and above that, maybe investing in your 401k. The other thing that is crucial here is that when you're rolling over your money, this is what I would do and I have done in the past. I never roll over money into another company's 401k. I always roll it over into my Vanguard Rollover IRA, because I have a lot more options to invest and the fees are usually lower in there. And over the course of 10, 20, 30 years, like our example, those fees significantly add up. And so if you can reduce those fees, you will save yourself possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your investment life. Okay, I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comment section below. I would appreciate if you smash the like button. It will let me know that you enjoyed this video or found something at least helpful in this video. I pray that God continue to bless you with health, strength, and yes, even wealth. Like I always say, God bless you, and remember to live your best life.